Hey everybody, let's go to the fair. It's episode 46 of the Mistook for a Swan emergency broadcasting system, brought to you by our sponsors this week, The Plague. Yes, The Plague. I'm sorry, it's still here, hasn't gone away. So much shit going on this week. It was a Chinese Lunar New Year on Friday. It is the year of the metal ox. That's not going to happen again for 60 years. So, yeah, have fun with that. You know, the ox, he's moving forward. He's not looking left. He's not looking right. He's just going to get it done, okay? So, you know, there's something to be said for that. It's the metal ox. So the metal part, maybe we can look forward to getting a couple needles in our arms at some point this year. I certainly hope so. It's Sylvain Sylvain's birthday. Born in Cairo, Egypt in 1951, Sylvain of the New York Dolls brought us so much great music. Thank you, Sylvain, and happy birthday wherever you are. As you know, it is Valentine's Day, that day that we ignore at our own peril. The origins of Valentine's Day, a little murky. Apparently a bunch of guys named Valentine got killed on the same day, more or less. So, but the guy we think it is there's this Christian missionary going around preaching the gospel, gets arrested, and the Roman official who arrested him said, listen buddy, you talk a big game, so my daughter's blind. If you can cure my daughter's blindness, then I'll let you go. So the guy does a couple pirouettes, he sprinkles some pixie dust in their eyes, says a couple prayers, and poof! The young lady can see again. Well, it's a miracle. So the Roman official says, okay, that's fantastic, you can go, you're free to go. Unfortunately, the emperor hears about this, and they arrest the soon-to-be Saint Valentine, and they chop off his head, making him the now Saint Valentine. So he gets associated with love. There may have been a little hanky-panky between him and the formerly blind girl. It's all hearsay. Anyway, later on in the Middle Ages, Chaucer was writing about St. Valentine's Day. He says, St. Valentine's Day is the day when the birds gather to choose their mates. So Chaucer's associating birds, love, the day. It's all coming together, and we still think of like bluebirds and doves and little sparrows as kind of Valentine's-y things. You know, Shakespeare mentions it in Hamlet. It's been lovey-dovey-dovey ever since. So if you got somebody that you can legally hug them. Okay. Otherwise, you know, give your friend a call. You know, just or send a card. God, does anybody do that anymore? Jeez, you know, people probably don't even know what stamps are anymore, do they? Anyway, it is also National Ferris Wheel Day. So back in 1893, they're throwing this gigantic World Fair in Chicago, and the guy who's run the World Fair puts out a challenge, and he says, we got to do something that is going to top those French, because they built that Eiffel Tower thing, and it's making us look bad. We got to do something bigger than the Eiffel Tower. So there's this dude, George Washington Ferris Jr., and he's, enjoying a fine meal in one of the famous chop houses in Chicago, having a very nice steak, I'm sure. And it comes to him. He's got a great idea. He says, I know, I'll make a giant wheel and I'll put like buckets on it. And people will get in the buckets and it'll go round and round. They'll see far and wide. They'll pay to do this and they're going to love it. And he jots this down on a napkin and he takes it to the guys who run the fair. They look at it and they say, are you out of your frickin' mind? This thing's going to fall over. People are going to die. It won't be safe. But George Washington Ferris says, no, I can make it safe. And he invests a whole bunch of his own money in this thing. And finally he convinces them and they build this thing. It is huge. It's 26 stories high, 80 meters high. And it is a gigantic success. The world's first Ferris wheel. And it makes a fortune. People love it. And there you go. So, speaking of fairs and big parties, it's Mardi Gras on Tuesday. So this year, there's going to be fewer people like throwing up brightly colored rum beverages, all over the street like there usually are. But that doesn't mean we can't like put on some beads and have a party and, listen to some brass bands. And, listen to some Aaron Neville, some Professor Longhair, some Dr. John, some Cajun music. For God's sake, it's a party. There's a party going on. And we're going to the fair this week. Come on.
I'm here live. I'm not a cat. Not that 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 I'm not a cat.
It's Valentine's Day, so I decided to dress up. What do you think? Valentine's Day. It's that magical day when anyone in a relationship ignores it at their peril. So let's not ignore it, okay? Let's do a love song. But it's got to be it's got to have something, a backstory. It's got to have a twist. It's got to have some kind of a strange and magical turnaround in it to make it interesting. So, what do you think about Scarborough Fair? And we all know the song, right? Simon and Garfunkel did it. Mega hit, smash hits in that movie, The Graduate. Huge hit. So here's the deal. Paul Simon was in England in the early mid-60s, and he's hanging out with all those movers and shakers of the English folk revival in the early 60s. All our buddies, Jackson C. Frank, Bert Jan, Chan Briggs, David Graham, all these greats, right? And he's trying to make a go of it, and he meets up this guy, Martin Carthy. So Martin Carthy is like a guitar virtuoso in the English folk scene, and there were a bunch of them, as you know, like Bert Jan, David Graham. Martin Carthy was another one. So there was all these great players back in in that scene. So Martin Carthy has worked up this version of this old English folk song called Scarborough Fair. And he's got a beautiful arrangement of it. It's got all these kind of oddball, dissonant chords and funny arrangements and fingerings of the chords and stuff. It's just great. Like it's really good. So Paul Simon's going, wow, that's fantastic. How do you do that? So Martin Carthy shows him. So so Paul pisses off back to the States, and Martin Carthy puts out his first solo album in '65, and it's got that song on it. Meanwhile, back in the States, as they say, Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel are working on their own version of this. So basically, they're taking Scarborough Fair, Martin Carthy's version of it, and they're taking this other old song that Paul Simon wrote a few years ago called Side of a Hill. And Art Garfunkel has reworked it, and they kind of weave these two songs together. So Paul Simon will sing a line from Scarborough Fair, and Garfunkel will sing a line from Canticle, and it's back and forth, and it's very haunting and beautiful, and they got their beautiful vocal harmonies, and they put it together well. Kudos to them. Very nice. The thing is, you listen to it, you can't help but say, that's exactly Martin Carthy's arrangement of the song, right? I mean, exactly. It's got the same weird chords. It's got the same, funny patterns. And it's his. This leaves a bad taste in Martin Carthy's mouth, And he has this grudge going on for decades about this because, basically he's going, that's my song. What the fuck? A couple of years earlier, in '62, Bob Dylan was in England doing the same thing. He's there, he's just soaking it up. He is learning everything he can about English folk music, and he's packing it away for later use, okay? And he meets up with Martin Carthy too. And, Bob's a little standoffish, that's the way he is. But eventually these two, they get on like a house on fire. And Martin shows him how to play Scarborough Fair. So Bob comes back a little later and says, hey, Martin, I got this new song. I'm going to call it Scarborough Fair. And he plays him Girl from the North Country. Bob's joking, of course, because he's a joker. It's actually called Girl from the North Country. Martin just loves this. He thinks this is fantastic. He's blown away. He says, Bob has taken this ancient English folk song and he's twisted around a little bit. He's, added here, subtracted there, and he's made a new thing. And it's a great song. But I mean, the truth of it is a lot of similarities between Girl from the North Country and Scarborough Fair. Basically, she once was a true love of mine. Need I say more? So anyway, like I said, Martin got the song from a songbook that Ewan MacColl and Peggy Seeger put out. Ewan MacColl collected it from some dude out on the moors somewhere. The rest kind of recedes into the mists of time, okay? So back in the mists of time, Scarborough Fair actually was a real thing. Okay, so the king back in 1250 decided that they needed a fair, a trade fair, not the kind of fair with whack-a-mole and the zipper and the roller coaster and stuff like that. A trade fair. So people from all over Europe and all over the England and Ireland and Scotland would all end up in Scarborough, this little town on the east coast of England. And there'd be this gigantic trade fair, which went on for weeks and weeks. And it continued for hundreds of years, you know. So it was a real thing. It was a big deal. Okay. So the song itself actually has like 1,000 different versions, and it's been done by tons of different people. Okay, so we already mentioned Hugh McCall and those folks. Shirley Collins did a nice version of it, a cappella. Marianne Faithfull did a nice version of it. Miss Piggy did a nice version of it when Paul Simon was on Sesame Street one time. I think let's call that the definitive one, okay? It all seems to kind of go back to one of those child ballads, you know, that system of organizing folk songs that this guy Child created, and it's Child Ballad number 2. Remember we did Child Ballad number 1 the other day with the Devil's 9 Questions? This is number 2. And Child Ballad number 2 is called the Elfin Knight. So the deal about the Elfin Knight is it's kind of a meeting and a contest between a mortal woman and a supernatural kind of being, an elf, basically. Okay, but you know, this woman is she's laying in bed, okay, and she's feeling a little blue because her younger sister just got married, and she's worried. Oh man, I'm gonna end up being a spinster. And she hears out on the moors the Elfin Knight blowing his horn. And she goes, well, wouldn't it be grand if he were here now? And he pops up all of a sudden, magically, in her bedroom. And she says, this is great. Okay, be my lover. And he goes, well, slow down, sister. First, you're going to have to do some impossible tasks. So this is the whole thing about the Elfin Knight, is that he asks her to do a bunch of impossible things. So basically, he says, okay, I'll be your lover, but first you have to do these 3 things for me. You got to make me a fancy shirt, but there can't be any cuts, no needlework, you can't use needle or thread, and there can't be any seams. And she's going, how am I going to do that? And then he says, okay, then you have to wash it in this well that has no water. And then you have to hang it on a thorn that's never bloomed, a rose thorn that's never bloomed since Adam was born. And so the woman goes, okay, well, you've asked me 3 things. It seems only fair that I can ask you to do some stuff as well. So she says, get me an acre of land, good land, in between the sea and the sand. Okay? So when you think about that, how's that going to work? Then he says, plow it with a ram's horn and plant it with 1 peppercorn seed. Harrow it with a bramble bush, reap it up with a sickle of leather, and bind it all together with a peacock feather. When you're done with all that, call me and I'll give you your damn shirt. So the elf basically goes, well, actually, as it happens, I'm married and have children anyway. And she goes, oh, well, fuck, get out of here. And so the elf goes away, and I don't know what happens to her after. That's the end of the original version of the song. So then the song kind of, matures a bit. And it kind of turns more into a battle between a man and a woman. You know, there's no more elf, okay? The elf is gone. So it's a battle between a man and a woman. Usually there's kind of a messenger involved, you know? It's like, are you going to Scarborough Fair? Can you leave a message to my true love? And then the message is, do these impossible tasks for me, and I'll be your lover again. And she usually sends back something through the messenger saying, okay, sure, I'll do that, but if you don't mind, first do this for me, these impossible tasks, and then we can talk, and I'll give you your damn shirt. So in this song, there's also a refrain, okay? And like in the oldest version, you know, with the Elfin Knight, the refrain, it's kind of in 2 parts. The first part, it's just sounds like it's ba 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 blah blah blah. And then the second time it says, and the wind blew away my plaid, which is kind of a risky thing to think about. I guess the woman is saying that, if you win, my clothes will be blown away. So very exciting, I'm sure. But then later on, there's different refrains. Sometimes it's over the hills and far away. Holy Led Zeppelin, right? And then the wind has blown my plaid away. That's a good one. Over the hills and far away. But then some of these songs start getting this list of herbs, right? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. That's the one we know from, Simon and Garfunkel and Martin Carthy and stuff. But in the olden days, it wasn't exactly always the same list of herbs. Sometimes it's savory, sage, rosemary, and thyme, or saffron, sage, rue, myrrh, and thyme. That doesn't roll off the tongue. I guess that's why that one died. And sweet, savory grows, rosemary, and thyme. So there's this list of herbs, and people, people have done a lot of thinking about these herbs. Are these like magical spells? Does this have significance, or is this just a bunch of nonsense words that happen to rhyme and sounds good in a song? Martin Carthy thinks they have significance, and he actually wrote in his, I think on his album that the people, folklorists and students of plant mythology, are aware that these herbs have special magical significance. And they were used by sorcerers to cast spells and also as counter spells for those that want to outwit the sorcerers, right? And, the herbs, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme are known to be associated with death and, charms against the evil eye. Who knows? Other people say that those 4 spices are actually like a love potion. Some people are saying maybe the lover is actually dead, and this is like a magical spell to allow communication with the dead. Like if you go in Scarborough Fair, she once was a true love of mine. Maybe she's dead. So, there's a lot to think about here. Who knows what the real answer is? And there's a lot of different versions of it. Like, so this can go any which way. And you do see it kind of degrade over time a little bit. It's like the telephone game, where you whisper something into somebody's ear and they whisper it into somebody's ear and around the circle. And when it comes out the other end, it's complete gibberish, right? So the parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme eventually, turns into parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, or every rose grows merry in time. And, it kind of breaks down. And a lot of versions of the song later on, they kind of lose the context, like they forget about the younger sister getting married and, and the woman conjuring the guy into her bedroom, or, the sending of the messenger. It just ends up being a list of impossible tasks. And usually usually the guy will have 3 or 4 impossible tasks, and the woman will counter with 3 or 4 impossible tasks. This stuff goes way back. Like this challenging to do something impossible goes way back in Irish and Celtic myth. Even in Greek myth. Like, think about the tasks of Hercules. Hercules had to do all this stuff, which they thought was impossible. And then, like, he goes ahead and does it anyway. So it's kind of like a challenge of wits, really, between the man and the woman. I think this is the way I'm looking at it. They're kind of figuring out, what's our power relationship going to be? So you can't just tell me what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do. And they're trying to figure out, how is this relationship going to work? Because love is complicated. Love takes frickin' work. Anyway, so back to Martin Carthy. Like I said, the version that Simon and Garfunkel did was exactly his version. And he's pissed, right? He's got this grudge going on about friggin' Paul Simon for like 30 years, right? And as it turns out, Martin Carthy's publisher, manager guy, had already copyrighted Carthy's arrangement of Scarborough Fair, and he went and had a little chat with Paul Simon's people, and they paid him a whack of money. But this money never made it back to Martin Carthy, and he wasn't even aware of this for years. That his publisher manager guy was got all this dough. Apparently, Carthy signed away the rights in his contract. So musicians, beware. Okay. Anyway, later on, like by 1998, Paul Simon and Martin Carthy buried the axe. Paul Simon invited Martin Carthy up on stage to do the song together with him, and it was all huggy, huggy, kissy, kissy from there on. So, happy ending, okay? So they loved one another again. What can I say about the song? You know, it's you could say it's a song of longing, you know, for love. It's a battle of wits between lovers. It's you know, it's a challenge. It's trying to figure out how is this relationship going to work. It's complicated. Like I said, love is complicated. So what I did is I listened to the song, and I didn't want to do the Martin Carthy version for you because it's been done 10 billion times. So I tried to figure out my own version, and it damn near killed me. Okay, but I think I got something. Okay, I think I got something that you will recognize as Scarborough Fair, but which is my own version. So take a listen. I hope you like it. Reach out to someone you love and tell them you love them. Love yourself. Be careful. Don't do anything that's going to get you into jail, okay? Because that's bad. Jail's not where you want to be right now. Just stay home and keep cool. Read a good book. Yeah, if you can, snuggle with somebody. If you can't, you know, at least give them a phone call. Give them a Zoom call. And check out my take on Scarborough Fair. And let me know what you think. You guys be good. Bye.